Hi, my name is Amy. I am 43 years old. I was diagnosed at 36 years old with factor VII deficiency. My oldest son, Hunter, at 10 years old, was going in to have his tonsils and adenoids taken out. We were getting ready to leave and the ENT said, "Does he have any tendencies to bleed?" And I was like, well, yeah. You know, he has these nosebleeds that we can't figure out, and we've been to all these different specialists, and we had everything set up to do the surgery. We get a call, and she said, "We're not going to do the surgery. We have to send you to, a specialist because he has a bleeding disorder." It was a shock. I had no idea. I didn't know really anything about hemophilia or bleeding disorders. We knew that he had to have some special medicine, like 15 minutes prior to the surgery, and that he was going to be taking some medicine for like 10 days after. We had a anesthesiologist that didn't want to give us the medicine, didn't see a need for him to have it because it's so expensive. And so I had to I was like, well, my son's not going to have this surgery if he can't have this medicine, because this is what he has to have. And the doctor reassured me that he was going to get his medicine for the surgery. Everything went well, and he had to stay the night in the hospital. The next day, the doctor came in, and she's like, I never really test kids for this. And I basically told her, you saved my son's life, because I don't know what would have happened if he, she would have performed the surgery if he would have bled out or any of that, because I just knew a little bit about what was going on, and I was, obviously scared. We were all scared because we didn't know. But then I have a younger son, Dakota, that he was actually had to be tested also once I tested that I had it.
My name is Dakota, and I was diagnosed with factor VII at 5. I'm 11 years old and I live in Michigan. Some of the sports that I can't play is football and hockey, and then my favorite sports are baseball and flag football. One of my favorite parts about having a bleeding disorder is being able to travel, and we went to Washington, D.C., Arizona, Texas, and a lot of other states.
We have actually done genetic testing, and I am the one that has the genetic mutation, so it wasn't both parents have to have it. It was just mom that has the mutation. It answered a lot of my questions from growing up. I had a lot of bleeds. I played sports. I can remember having a massive bleed in my leg because I got hit with a softball. I had the horrible menses that we kind of know about here in this world. They're not supposed to last 5, 7, 10 days, heavy. I had a spontaneous bleed, woke up right here, 3 o'clock in the morning with the worst pain in my life. And so I had actually got an ultrasound, and the technician, the doctor made her check up here, and I had swollen lymph nodes up here at my rotator. And she goes, "Tell me where you're actually feeling the pain." And so she went right there and she saw the blood. When they called down, they got an on-call hematologist that didn't know much about my condition and said there's absolutely no way I could have a spontaneous bleed with my levels. So I never got factor. They gave me some Norco for pain, and my general practitioner had me go through physical therapy. Well, what they did is I remember getting a bleed here, and I had a bleed down here. They were giving me bleeds doing this physical therapy. I actually have permanent damage in that spot now because of the treatment I didn't get and then the treatment I got, if that makes sense, with the physical therapy too. Didn't take long to get with the doctor to get her to let me know that anytime you have that type of injury. She looked at the ultrasound and said, yes, you did have a bleed. We got to get factor, so if you ever have that feeling again of the spontaneous, the bleeding, you call her and get factor. Throughout my process of learning other things, I realized that where I live, they don't have any of the factor that I need for factor VII. The nearest hospital was over an hour away, so I advocated with 5 of the biggest people that I could at my local hospital, which is really small, and explained the whole process of what factor VII was, what complications we could have, and showed them the brochures and everything, and they were generous enough to get a dose for each one of us at the hospital. We live in northern Michigan. We live actually in the snow belt. One year, one of our first years of being diagnosed, we had 39 inches of snow. We were snowed in for 5 days, and I remember thinking, what if something happened to myself or my boys? I mean, they're very active. I talked to their doctor and I said, I want factor at home. And they told me, no, we don't do that because you guys are on demand, you're really just going to be for trauma or something like that. And I explained to him, we had 39 inches of snow, and I said I was snowed in for 5 days. He was like, well, they're going to come and get you. I said, they're coming on a snowmobile to come and get us. And he's like, oh. I was able to get enough for 2 doses for each of us, myself and my 2 boys, at home. I live 15-20 minutes from our hospital, and you have to try to decide how fast you can get there or how fast you can get the infusion in. So I told them I want to learn, how to infuse my boys. And so I had to show them that I could do it to myself first, and then I had to actually infuse both of my children before I could actually infuse them. I love being part of this community now in the bleeding disorder world. They have helped so much with teaching me how to advocate. I try to learn as much as I can so I can go and advocate for other people, not just myself. I have been to Washington, D.C. to talk with legislators. Things like the copay accumulators, that's a hot topic right now. We're actually going to be going to our state capitol to talk with them. If I didn't have the help from these organizations to get through this, I don't know where I would be. I would be lost. I don't know where my kids would be. I think they would be in a bubble. A lot of people have opened my eyes to what kids can do. Karate and, baseball is a sport that both of my boys love. My oldest son just a couple months ago had his front teeth knocked out from a baseball. Scary at first, but I had it, I was able to get to the hospital, and, a lot of the nurses don't know what to do, and, hey, the only thing I have a problem with is I can't get that infusion, the needle in fast. Can you help me, and then I just do my thing, and, without the community and teaching me what I can do and what I'm capable of doing. And if it wasn't for hope, I wouldn't have hope. I wouldn't know where to go. They have been amazing in teaching me and helping me grow and advocate for my children and myself.